Hi, welcome to another episode of Information and Analysis of NEP 2019, the new education policy for India. In these two chapters that I'm going to cover, we're going to talk about the institutional restructuring and consolidation in higher education, and chapter 11 deals with towards liberal education. It's very important for us to know the current facts which are put forth even in the NEP 2019 before we talk about the plans and also we analyze the details of those plans. Number one, currently we have a system of about 800 universities that add up to about 40,000 colleges. An interesting aspect about the current college system is that 40% of these 40,000 colleges are single program colleges. Think of even the IIMs, they just award one MBA program. So one of the things that this NEP 2019 tries to address is how do we move to large, scalable colleges or universities which also have a lot of cross-disciplinary interlinkages. I'll come to that shortly. The second aspect of the fact finding that has been captured is that 93% of these colleges come under the state education system, and research is a big casualty there for reasons such as funding, culture and competence. We've covered that in some other chapter called NRF. Now look at it from the perspective of the larger goal of building a research-led higher educational institutional network. For that, this has to be addressed. How do you pull up the quality of these 93% of our higher educational institutions which are short on funds? The third important part about this institutional restructuring and consolidation is how do we go to bring about higher educational institutions distributed across the 600 to 700 districts that we have, and that's covered in the Mission Nalanda and Mission Takshashila. Okay, now let me take a look at some of the recommendations that are done in the HEI space. The first thing that is happening is that if this policy draft goes through, then one of the outcomes is going to be that the institutions are going to be categorized as Tier 1 research institutions, Tier 2 teaching institutions, and Tier 3 autonomous colleges. The Tier 1 research institutions are going to be something like 200 in number, and all the top government centrally funded institutions are definitely going to be covered in this. And what are the imperatives for them? Whether you are an IIT or an IIM or an NLU or any of those institutions, you have to do a few things mandatorily. Number one, you need to scale yourself from servicing a few hundred or a few thousand students to about 30,000 students on campus. So multidisciplinary, cross-discipline, undergrad, postgrad, research and vocational. All four have to be offered by every single institution. What is going to be the outcome of this going through? No more will an IIT or an IIM or an NLU have the vertical silos that they have been sitting on for long. And everybody knows that a technologist has to work with a historian, with an anthropologist or a painter or a mass communication student to get all the cross-disciplinary talent to work on a single product or a service that you want to bring it out into the marketplace. So the NEP 2019, it mandates that the top institutions will become research driven. They will get funding from NRF, but the precondition is that they have to launch undergraduate programs, whether it's an IPM by all the IIMs including Ahmedabad or Bangalore or Calcutta, or research programs or an undergraduate programs in history or commerce. All of those will be available in each of these 200 top institutions. Tier 2 are the teaching institutions where research would be available, but it's just not too much of focus on just research, but all these programs. So difference between the Tier 1 research and Tier 2 teaching institutions is going to be the emphasis on research or expectations on outcome on research. Third, so while the Tier 1 would be 200 colleges, Tier 2 would be about 1,000 universities, again having 25,000 students each. The third tier is going to be something like 10,000 colleges, and each one of them will be autonomous and have 5,000 students each. So a St. Stephen's College cannot be sitting on 300 or 400 students per year. They will be pushed to become an autonomous college and have 5,000 students in the next 10 years. That's going to be the case for all the institutions. And the affiliations to a university will go away. By the year 2032, there will be no college in Delhi University or Calcutta University which cannot grant its own degree or diploma or a certificate. And they will be either qualitatively qualified to be able to offer their own degrees and diplomas, or they will be asked to become a para-educational institution or a resource for the society, which is a vocational training institute or a public library or something like that. So this is something that is likely to have a far-reaching impact on focus on quality, focus on management, focus on governance for all the existing universities. Let's now take a look at the recommendation on Mission Nalanda or Mission Takshashila. 100 out of the top 200 Tier 1 universities or 500 out of the next 1000 Tier 2 teaching universities, these are sought to be distributed to ensure that there is at least one university of Tier 1 or Tier 2 in every district in the country. And I think while it might sound a little harebrained in the short-term perspective, I think from a nation building, from a 25 to 50 year perspective, it's a very good step in my view. So people have scoffed at the idea of a new IIT happening in Mandi or a new IIM happening in Rohtak. But if you go back, imagine that first IIT was created in Kharagpur, Kanpur. These were much more difficult places to reach 70 years ago. So distribution or aggregation of educational institutions in and around a district where you have government schools and the good quality students can aspire to go to higher education institutions in their neighboring district is a very laudable suggestion. My own view is that this needs to be executed with a lot of vigor and funding in place. A couple of other points about these recommendations are the way expansion happened in the last 25 years in adding new IITs, IIITs, ICERs, IIMs and NLUs. This document also talks about creating at least 4 top-notch liberal arts universities funded entirely by the central government. These could be named as IILA, Indian Institute of Liberal Arts, or MERU. These 4 institutions are aimed to have 3,000 students and pursuing all the liberal arts programs, and these 4 would be in addition to the liberal arts programs that you will hear shortly in various IITs, IIMs, national law schools and so on. To the extent that, and it already IIT Kharagpur has begun to take steps in the direction, that many of these universities also will have medical colleges integrated into their engineering campuses or management campuses. So it's going to be a massive ecosystem of 40,000-50,000 students and delivering programs which offer at the undergraduate level. For the first time this is being spoken about so clearly in India, that a student could be doing a major in physics but a minor could be in music, a major in statistics and a minor could be in history, and this choice of subjects will be left to the student, but the offer would be there just the way you find it in some of the top universities across the world. That brings us to the end of my analysis of these 2 chapters, chapter 10 and chapter 11, which is institutional restructuring and consolidation and towards liberal education. Just to close this, I would like to share one of the macro outcomes expected out of this is that at this point in time in India, the gross enrollment ratio can be argued or claimed to be anywhere between 16 to 20%. By 2035, this is being aimed at about 50%. That's a massive jump. We lose 10 children by the time they get to grade 6, and by the time they get to college, we lose as much as 75 to 80%. That is sought to be brought down to 50%. 50% of the students should go to formal college in the next 15 years. And these steps of expansion, deepening of the campuses across the country and offering multidisciplinary program, these 3 steps could go a long way in creating the path for India taking her GER to about 50% of 18-year-olds entering college by 2035. Thank you very much. I look forward to your feedback and I'll see you in another video of New Education Policy 2019. Bye.